Hey,
Hi, everybody.
you guys ever just been Seattle sports fans before?
It's a good day today. You're
Oh
telling
my
me you
God, I
did
can
you didn't
hear.
have a great time?
It was great. It was really exciting. Yeah, no, I mean believe it or not, the Seahawks actually looked worse than the Mariners. So,
Is that true?
oh yeah, they looked like crap.
Okay.
I'm a Bees fan now, guys. Salt Lake Bees,
I thought
go
Joe didn't
Bees.
like the Seahawks. I don't necessarily care for football, but I will pay attention enough to be able to say something about them. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, yeah.
Gino getting
Obvi-
sacked didn't really do a whole lot, but whatever.
oh yeah. So obviously, Mariners are coming off of a pretty tough. Why do I have a Bees shirt? My parents went on vacation. It was for my dad's work to Salt Lake, and they went to the Bees Rainiers game, and they brought me back a Bees shirt. So,
The one that they went
um,
to, not to interrupt your story for a second time here,
yeah,
the the one they went to, Jared Kelenic popped off, right? I think he had a home run and two
I
doubles in that
think
game.
maybe all I know is that the Rainiers lost. I didn't really pay attention to what happened in the game.
Okay.
Um, anyways, hey, the Mariners coming off of a absolutely abysmal road trip, 3-7, coming home. They have to fly home and then play the very next day from Florida to Seattle. Whoever made the schedule was an absolute forehead.
That's
But
okay. They'll gain some time back heading back to the great, PST, Pacific Standard Time, right?
right,
They'll gain a little bit of
yeah,
time back. 3
yeah,
hours.
for sure,
Yeah. It's
that's
worth it.
true.
It's fine.
But yeah, I mean, hey, the last 10 games, honestly, the last like 15, maybe even 20 games for the Mariners have been pretty bad. Um, they didn't look great coming out of August. Obviously, they still won 21 games in August, but they didn't look great at the end of the month. And we all knew that coming into this point in the season, it was a hard part of the schedule coming out of, a very good part of the schedule.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit later in the stream about will the Mariners make the playoffs, because I have thoughts about that. And it looks like, in the poll, 61% of people have said yes.
So far.
So,
There
so
is still
far,
time for that to change.
yeah.
However,
So, let's talk a little bit about these games. Joe, what went wrong in Tampa Bay?
um, oh man, this is just a big old bag of worms waiting to happen, isn't it? I don't think using Munoz 3 days in a row is as bad of a thing as people might be making it out to be. I don't know if it's necessarily a confirmed thing that his little flare up, little something with his hip is necessarily 100% related to that. It definitely could be, but I'm not willing to point a sole, just the individual finger at that necessarily. Could we have used someone else in game one against the Rays? Maybe, but with the way that the bullpen was, at that point, it wasn't great. And having him go was just kind of how it happened. It's unfortunate the way that it's played out with him being down and us finding that out the day after a game where we thought maybe go to him at some point, but now learning that he was probably down. So my mic's popping. Lovely.
That is your mic? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was your mic or my headphones.
You talk for a second.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy. Why was the O'Keefe homer overturned yesterday? Because Tropicana is not a real baseball field. So anyone who watched this team knows they will not make the playoffs unless they play like they did a few weeks ago. I mean, that's just objectively not true. So, I mean, if you guys look at how seedings and the rest of the season schedule works out, the Mariners could very easily make the playoffs. So, I mean, it's not. And the other thing is that there are four teams vying for 3 spots. That's it. That's all it is. 4 teams vying for 3 spots.
Yeah.
Like, the fact of the matter is, and the next 4 games, the Rangers play the Blue Jays. So, like, they're gonna best case scenario, in my opinion, is the Blue Jays sweep the Rangers.
Yes, create some
And the
separation
Rangers
for
are,
us
yeah,
on them who are already lower.
theoretically.
Hopefully
Yeah,
my mic is no longer popping. If it is, just
It
tell me
does
again.
sound better.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think what you're saying is right. Best case scenario for Rangers Blue Jays 4-game series is the Blue Jays put the Rangers in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I think that obviously the Mariners come home and take on the Angels, the team that you should probably win this series against, and then you play the Dodgers, the team that you'll probably lose the series. Just don't get swept versus the Dodgers. That's all I care about.
yeah,
I think that you look at this week specifically, we have to go week by week by now. And I think that if, for example, the Blue Jays beat up on the Rangers, even if they don't, it all comes down to those last 10 games. These games don't matter as much as the last 10 games. The last 10 games, the weight that those games carry are immensely more than whatever's happening right now. It doesn't matter. In my opinion, as long as you control your own destiny at this point, no matter what happens the rest of the year until those last 10 games. Yeah. And if you could let's say you win out versus the Rangers, boom, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, without question, because there's no way that the Red Sox are gonna, I guess, jump up the standings miraculously. Mm-hmm. And so you're not wrong by any chance. And Alexa saying that we can still win the division, I don't think that's necessarily without, with that far out as well. It's just with the way that the team has looked versus how the Astros have looked, it does seem like the Astros are surging at the right time, whereas the Mariners have kind of slowed down. And it's not even that we have to go surging into the playoffs. Like, you don't want to go limping into the playoffs necessarily either. However, if your slump is, say, now, it was the last 10, and then you play against the Angels pretty well, and then you have a stinker against the Dodgers, right? So those 16 games, say you're like, hopefully, optimistically, we're 3-7 right now over the last 10. If we go, say, 6-10 over against the Angels and the Dodgers, you're probably looking at going 2-1 at least versus the Angels, and then 1-2 versus the Dodgers. So 6-6 or 4 and math. What is it? 3-3. So yeah, over those 6 games. Then you get hot. Then you start to reel off a bit better baseball, rest up a little bit after a long road trip. You have back-to-back Thursdays off, I think, this coming Thursday, and then the week after that you have a day off. And so you don't necessarily have to be overly hot the entire month of September going to the playoffs, but if you get hot at the right time, like the Phillies showed last year, it can take you all the way to the final thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that what blah 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 is saying is this team is ass and stands no chance against playoff caliber teams. Did you not watch them sweep the Astros last month?
Astros are not a playoff caliber team. They didn't have Kyle Tucker, therefore they were not a playoff caliber team at that point.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. You should be able to have Brian Wu. If they skipped his last start, he's obviously had some time on the IL. He's had times where they're gearing him up to be able to pitch in that final stretch because you're going to need him. You don't want Luke Weaver, Darren McCacken, etc. pitching against the Rangers in games that are that meaningful. Yeah. And so obviously, you're going to get Jared Kelenic back probably tomorrow. So Jared Kelenic is going to come back on Monday. I don't see why he wouldn't anyway.
Yeah. There's very plausible, thought behind that.
Mm-hmm. So I think that you add Jared Kelenic to this roster, who's played really, really well at down there. Do you guys not blame Service at all for these losses? When did we say we didn't blame him? A manification? When did we say that?
I think the trend is that we typically have not in the past. But I don't think it's actually unreasonable to think that we wouldn't. However, the majority of I feel like, misfortune that happened against Tampa Bay is pointing to Service more than usual, in our opinion. So
we lose so many games because of Service alone. We also win so many games because of Service alone.
It's a little bit of a give and take there.
Yeah, weird how that works.
A baseball team is going to lose games over a 162 game season.
Yeah, who would have known?
Not me.
I think we lose games because of the players, personally.
But that
thoughts?
What about the fans? Do we lose games because of the fans?
Sometimes. I think so.
Didn't get the wave started earlier enough.
It's true. I don't know. I think going into these last, I'm not super worried. I know everyone's worried, but we talked about it before. We honestly talked about it last year. Like, winning the division would be awesome. Obviously, we would love to win the division.
Yeah.
But if you don't win the division, be in the third wild card spot. Please, for the love of God, be in the third wild card spot. Yeah. Because
now, seeing what the Rays seeing what the Rays just did to us in Tropicana, I wouldn't love to be. I would, like you're about to say, be very favorable to be in wild card 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So you're in wild card 3, you'd play the Rays and then you would play Houston.
No.
If you were, or not the Rays, sorry, the Twins, then you play Houston.
Yeah.
As of right now. So, and I don't think that's actually going to change at all because the Orioles are going to take the top spot, and then they should. Houston will be in the second spot because the Twins aren't making it out of the third spot. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Twins are too far down for sure. And I think there's a good enough separation between the Orioles, or even if the Rays somehow surge and take the AL East back. But that would call for a pretty cataclysmic collapse from Baltimore at that point. I know Bautista's been out, for what, a week now? Something like that?
Yeah.
It's a pretty huge blow for them, honestly, looking at playoff implications. Like, that's a guy that you would want to have in the back of the pen if you are Baltimore, but they've managed to continue to win, which is good for them. And if we're the Mariners looking at the Twins, I know that the series, were we tied with the Twins, or did they take one more than us? I think we played them 7 times, right?
Yes.
I think we either one down or one up. It was close the whole time. Maybe the fake rally Colton Wong home run actually will make a difference when it comes down to it, thinking about playoff matchups and whatnot. But definitely leaning, you want to play the Twins versus the Rays.
Yeah. So. And I think, and going off of that, the Astros, it's the Rangers. The Rangers play Baltimore for 3 coming up too. So the Rangers, the Mariners have the hardest schedule of the teams left, and the Astros have the easiest. Winning the division going into the month of September, even after coming off of a 21-6 month, was still going to be very, very difficult because you have a very hard schedule in September, and the Astros have the 3rd easiest schedule in September.
Yeah. Not to give any credit to Fangraphs, but I'm pretty sure that was accurate among most of their predictions or projections based on who would win the division. Even though we were ahead of the Astros in the standings and we're playing better baseball than them and have the season series against them, the Astros were continuously projected to win the division, likely based around that strength of schedule throughout September.
Yeah.
So,
why was DFAing Weaver and not Leone the right move? Because Weaver pitched 5 innings. He wasn't going to be able to go for probably another 5 days, and it's just a worthless spot in your bullpen for the next week. And Leone pitched in today's game. He didn't pitch all that well, but
yeah. And then if Leone's gone tomorrow, don't be surprised by any means.
Yeah, Leone will probably be gone tomorrow for Prelander. So.
Yeah, it makes sense with the way that the moves look. I think in a vacuum, you take a look at the first move of, Weaver just did pretty well, and then he gets DFA'd. That's kind of like a crappy move for management. And then you take a look at it with another lens of Leone's still on the team. That's a bit ridiculous. But then take a step back. There's a guy still waiting because they wanted to use him one last time, pretty much to get the use out of him should it be a losing game. And had the Mariners been winning today, you probably don't even see Leone pitch, and then he still gets DFA'd tomorrow. It was an inevitable outcome that he was going to get DFA'd for Prelander coming home. So
I agree with that. Is Miller okay? I think so.
He had a pretty rough first inning. I didn't see the game. I was working, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Did he give up 5 earned today, or was it 4 earned?
I think it was 5. Okay. I don't know. I was doing my laundry when he gave up the 5th, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely things to still be okay, Miller, he has some stuff still, but it's definitely not the same level as when he first came up. Guys are starting to figure him out. They've got the scouting reports. So it's not the same level of dominance or not even dominance, just pitching outings in general from Miller.
True.
So.
Oh my God. But hang on. Somebody get blah, blah, blah into the front office. He's a genius. Put him in there, guys.
Devin Sweet did help the Athletics beat the Rangers. So 4D chess from Jerry DePoto.
Yeah, there you go. He's a double agent. Shed's looking lit. Thanks, man.
Dude, that's Kyle Jones. I love Kyle.
Hi, Kyle Jones.
Hi, Kyle.
You guys think Terrence comes up and they should send out O'Keefe? Yeah, I think so. Why not? The only problem is Terrence is a god awful catcher. So,
and
Brian O'Keefe's good defensively.
What?
So
okay, I get. Yeah, I wouldn't say. Do you think? Okay, rank these 3 catchers in terms of defense: Raleigh, Murphy, O'Keefe.
Raleigh, Murphy, O'Keefe.
Yeah. Is O'Keefe the worst one there still?
Defensively,
defensively.
God, catching defensive metrics are ass as it is.
Use the eye test.
I would say I honestly would not be opposed to putting Brian O'Keefe as the best catcher there.
Defensively. Interesting.
Defensively.
Okay. I mean, he had a pretty, that little ball that skirted away, throws a dime down to JP to get out Paredes or Ramirez, whoever was on base. It was a good play. Obviously, the bat is his weakness, and I think that's where we're missing, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of what kind of bat you want, Terens is probably the guy, although there's a reason he was DFA'd last year. He wasn't that good. And when we talk about, the other starting pitchers, Wu, yes, he's well over his innings pitched. Bryce Miller, not necessarily. And also, when you get into the playoffs, neither of those guys is going to
start a game.
Pitch for you. Start a game. They're not going to start a game. They're going to pitch out of the bullpen. So who cares? Get yourself through the end of the year, and then who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Not even okay. Games, say a fourth game happens. You're pitching who on short rest? Like, obviously be Castillo.
Probably Castillo, yeah.
So it's just Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, like throughout the playoffs?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I feel like in a 7-game series, you might go a game 4. Or if
I guess it would depend on where you're at.
Or maybe a game 5. If you're in a 7-game series and you're up, say 3-1.
You're up 3-1? Okay, then yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you're up 3-1, then sure.
If any way you're down, of course you're not gonna roll a Wu Miller split start out there. Probably not.
Right.
So I don't know. I get what you're saying though. I understand. You're probably not gonna have them be a starter for more than 3 innings, I would guess. Like you could probably roll them both out in a game, have one go 3, the other go 3, and then let your bullpen finish the rest if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
So,
which is fine in my opinion as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they both can go multiple innings. So yeah, I don't hate the idea. Just piggyback one with the other. So what happened to K Marlowe? He turned into who K Marlowe's been his entire career.
Yeah. Just wasn't really wasn't checking the boxes as much anymore. So I don't know.
Hello? Yo, hey. Cade on the bench? Yeah. I mean,
it's not like a bad guy to have on the bench necessarily.
But when Jared Kelenic comes back tomorrow, I think Cade Marlowe should be sent down.
It's either him or Haggerty. And I feel like
honestly, I'd rather have Haggerty right now.
I think so as well. No disrespect to Cade Marlowe by any means. What he brought to us when he first came up and, his ability to play defense out there. Very good. It's just when you've got a proven bat like Kelenic coming back. Or I guess a more proven bat. I don't want to say Kelnic's bat is completely proven by any means, but
yeah. And I mean, and Sam Haggerty is he's more versatile. He can play, infield if he needs to. So I don't know. What are we gonna do with him when JK comes back? There's plenty of room. You can then DH Teo or DH Canzone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still plenty of room. And then Mike Ford can DH as well.
It's nice to have guys on the bench to be able to come up later in the game as well. It's not like I don't know. I think if any, the biggest amount of at bats that you're going to see hindered from Kelenic coming back is Ford, then Canzone, realistically. So,
who had the worst loss today? The Hawks or the Mariners? Oh, the Seahawks by far. That game was awful to watch.
It's a bad way to start the NFL season,
Especially when you have only 16 games instead of 162.
It's 17 games.
Right. My apologies. 17 games instead of 162. So it's like, But do you want to talk about what George Kirby said? I want you to get on your pedestal really quick and just let's talk about it.
We can talk about it. So for a little bit of frame of reference, Colton didn't know about the George Kirby comments until about 3.5 hours after he made them.
I went dark, bro.
Radio silent.
That game.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna decompress, dude. I'm not gonna go on Twitter. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna hang out. And yeah, I didn't look up anything about the Mariners. I'm like, I'm just gonna decompress from the stress that we're feeling as Mariners fans right now. And that was, of course, the day I chose to do it. So
yeah. And so I broke some news to him pretty late in the evening, the night, the wee hours of the morning. Yeah, it's definitely something that should just not have been said to the media at the end of the day. The first comment, obviously. And it's coming from a place of frustration. He's young. It's just, all the, I want to say, excuses being made about he's young, he's frustrated. There should have been someone that would have been like, hey, George, just keep a level head. We'll talk later, kind of a thing. And if he's tired and doesn't want to go out there, tell that to your manager.
Should have said that. Yeah.
Should have said that. And then the comments in the later day, I think, the following day where he apologizes. It wasn't the best, I would say. I was kind of underwhelmed. However, it gets the job done. My biggest gripe with the whole thing is East Coast media the next day propagating it, a couple hours before his apology, essentially, making him look worse. And then obviously the old heads on Twitter like Jared Weaver and Roger Clemens, just I don't know. The Kirby discourse, I mean, don't want to go on it too much, but
yeah,
it should
it's
be
blown
done
way
now.
out of proportion.
Yeah,
it's
way
over.
out
It's
of
done.
proportion at this point.
So I don't know. Was he wrong to say what he said? Absolutely. If he has a problem with it, say that to your manager. Don't call a guy out publicly when he would never do that to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just makes no sense to me. If you have a problem with what Scott did, go talk to Scott. And you're in the middle of a playoff race, you have a bullpen day the next day. If you didn't say anything to him and he needs more outs out of you, get your ass out there and get more outs. Like that, make a better pitch. That's the fact. If you did not say I don't think I should go back out there, that's on you.
Yeah,
that's on you, 100%. And I love George Kirby, and he made a mistake. He'll learn from it, and that's the way it is. He's in a George Kirby. He gets frustrated. He's young.
Yeah.
He's like Jared Kelenic in that way. When things don't quite go his way, he gets really frustrated, and that's something that he needs to work on, and he has been working on with Mariners' mental skills and mental strength training and whatnot. Like,
I did see that.
That's the thing he's been working on. So I don't know. George Kirby, there's nothing there. There's nothing to talk about there more than it happened. It's over.
Now we'll move on.
Yeah, Scott handled it well.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't sound like he held a grudge about it at all or had any gripes with it. So it is what it is. Now George goes out there next time and throws a gem and nothing more to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of having a healthy clubhouse, at least on the surface level, that you can turn a new leaf pretty fast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I think that's the same thing that we saw with Jared Kelenic. Obviously, he knew that he messed up. And I think that with the clubhouse kind of stepping behind him with all of that, just good. It goes to show that, hey, you messed up. Like, it sucks. What happened? Obviously, Kelenic is a little bit bigger because he was out for a month than being out for 5 days. But nonetheless, I think because all these guys can rally around each other, it makes the team better for it. And the fact that they could go through that adversity, I guess, I don't know. It just goes to show that this team can deal with problems. So,
yeah.
I don't know. He's been bad recently. I feel like he hasn't been the same since the Orioles start. I mean, guys go through slumps. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It happens. I mean, the whole pitching staff's been bad recently.
Yeah, I think
like the offense has been fine.
It's just the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of the season. It happened. So, I think it was June. June was where the pitching kind of started to fall off for a second, and then it bounced. I can't remember, but we've had this conversation before about the pitching kind of slowing down at an improper time, essentially. So,
let's see what else did I want to talk about today? So Toronto, huh?
I was just gonna read a comment, but you go ahead.
Toronto has 6 games left versus the Rays, and 6 left versus New York. So maybe New York can do something.
I mean, the Yankees swept. I mean, they swept Houston.
Yeah,
or took 2 out of 3 from Houston. I can't remember if it was a sweep or not, but they helped us out essentially.
Yeah, and again, with more games against the Rays, there's a chance that the Rays give it to Toronto and knock them back as well. So right now, the Mariners are in a fine spot.
It helps
kind of getting back to what's going on.
The way that all of the other teams around us have to play also teams in that same kind of little bubble, the same groups of teams. So it's a tough road ahead, I think, for everybody, aside from maybe the Astros. I think, they're kind of could be in cruise control, but Rangers, Blue Jays, Mariners, maybe even Rays if you want to lump them in there. It is going to be I'm not necessarily concerned on a day where the Mariners lose because of how other teams have been beating up on each other as well. Right. Going on a 3-7 road trip and still coming out in the playoff picture. I don't think many teams would be able to say that with the way that they positioned and the other teams have been playing.
Going on a 3-7 road trip and then basically only losing a game or two in the standings.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's the
like I'm
right
not too
time.
worried
It's
about
the
that.
right time to lose games because other teams are losing. Sure, would you have liked to win them? Duh.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely. It's just wasn't in the cards. Rays are a good team. Reds are also a pretty solid team. I think you look at one more game against the Mets, and then one more game against the Rays, and the road trip's looking a-okay because that's a 500 road trip at that point.
Hmm.
So
You hope the Rangers sweep the Blue Jays? See, I'm on the other side of that. I would rather the Blue Jays sweep the Rangers. So,
yeah,
like, I would rather the Rangers keep getting pushed down. That way you have a little bit of a buffer. So if you're not playing your best baseball against them
for
come,
7 games.
2 weeks from now, yeah, I would rather that. So,
Mhm.
Marine Layer says we should chant Shohei at bats. Well, first and foremost, hopefully
He's playing.
hopefully Shohei plays.
Yeah.
But that's already the plan. On
Yeah.
Tuesday, Simply Seattle has the come to Seattle Shohei chant going on that Joe's flying up for, and we'll both be at the game that day. So
Yeah, I know Marine Layer Pod were talking about that like well before I think like the Simply South thing even got orchestrated too.
Oh, were
So
they?
yeah, I think like after I think they put a podcast at like after the All-Star week talking about
Oh,
like,
nice.
how it was like super exciting for them, and they're like, yeah, let's do that again when they come to like Anaheim, and then I think it kind of just like snowballed for multiple avenues of Seattle sports people to kind of get involved in, but yeah.
Yeah, shout out to them. I mean, that's going to be super cool. I hope that we can get the whole stadium doing it if Shohei plays.
It's just yeah, that's the interesting caveat of whether or not we'll see a unicorn in action.
Yeah. So, let's see. What else did I want? What were you gonna say when I like interrupted you earlier?
I was just gonna read a comment, but that comment's long gone at this point.
I
I can scroll to it.
How do you feel
this
about?
team just hit a rock. Don't you dare talk over me once. I swear, I'm gonna beat you up.
You
I think.
didn't tell me.
I was gonna scroll up.
I think
this team just hit a rock.
that this team hit a rock in the road.
There you go. Perfect. Maybe they just need to.
Maybe they need to
come back home with their fans behind them. Texas in a free fall. Yeah. Random man. Yes. Coming home is going to be a godsend, a blessing to the Seattle Mariners, in my opinion. They'll be able to rally.
For Mariners fans.
True. Yeah. I mean, get to see the team actually play baseball in their home park. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You stop it right now.
We get to go to baseball games, guys. It feels like it's been a year since the Mariners have been home. It's so annoying that this long ass road trip and they have to fly from Florida to Seattle and play a game the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's making these schedules, but they're stupid.
It's a good week for me coming up. I'll go to the game on Tuesday, and then the following week
you're gonna go to the one in Oakland.
I'm gonna go to a game in Oakland as I always do. Very exciting to be with 3,000 other fans, half of which are Mariners fans. So, if that, we'll see if it gets 3,000. I don't know, but it's always a good time when they come to Oakland for me.
It's been 4 years since the last time we've played a worthless September. It's true. No, I mean the thing is like.
Ooh,
I don't think people understand how good the Mariners have been over the past 4 years. They've been great.
Yeah, we played meaningful games in September. Yeah, I think that is something I definitely just like realized I was taking for, I guess, granted, like at this point in time. Thinking back to older teams where we were pretty buns, these games wouldn't matter, and it's just okay, game's on, yay!
Yeah.
A guy wearing number 98 hit a home run. Yay! It's like spring training. But now we're in the thick of it. And I don't see that changing within the next 2, 3 years, 4 years, without a doubt.
Yeah, we have something to actually look forward to right now, which is something that for 20 years we didn't have. So it's like we have something to look forward to, and people are still complaining.
I think it is the expectation that we want them to be so much better, right? The pedestal of, they could have done this, they could have done that. And I get that to a certain degree. But I'm gonna get that comment tattooed on my body. It's been 4 years since the last time we played worthless baseball in September.
That's gonna be out of date real quick.
Really quick.
Can you keep changing it?
Yeah, I'll put it in like henna or something, like henna tattoo.
Yeah. Just the number, yeah. For the payroll nerds to pound the table for Matt Chapman this offseason, I hope that's not true.
Matt Chapman's a name.
That's a guy. Yeah. Thoughts on Mookie versus Acuna? Acuna, in my opinion. But Mookie has put his name in that. He's thrown his hat into the ring over the past month or so.
Yeah, I was gonna say his hat has been in the ring for a bit, but I think I still lean towards Acuna. I think thinking back to last year, Judge versus Ohtani. If it's not a record-setting season, some sort of history was not made, Ohtani wins that MVP. Acuna made history, first 30-60 season. Could still go for a 40-60 season, mind you. I don't see how you can deny history in that same way that we did not deny it to Aaron Judge. So, what the hell happened to first place? Yes.
The Astros have the third easiest schedule in all of baseball. The Mariners have the 11th hardest. End of story.
The Astros got healthier. The Mariners did not.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Acuna, I mean, he's on the best team in baseball. Like, he is the leader of that team. He's a guy that, like you said, the 30-60 going to probably be 40-60. No excuses. I mean, they're not excuses. That's just fact of the matter. Flick of the switch.
It just happened. I mean, we would have loved to stay in first place. I would have loved the Mariners to go flip it and go 7-3 on the road trip, but they haven't played that great of baseball. And the bullpen and pitching have not lived up to the answer. They have not answered the call. And so if that's an answer that you're looking for versus a BS answer like us saying that the Astros got healthy and have an easier schedule, then so be it. But
what kind of answer do you want? The Mariners.
If you'd like to provide a more sensible answer from your end, feel free. But
it's not going to be sensible.
We can see.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want the Mariners to play 800 baseball like they did in August, just the whole year?
And coming from
130 wins,
500 baseball for the full year up until July and August, they didn't do themselves any favors earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But you can't go back and change what happened then at this point.
Remember Joe? So Joe and I like to talk off camera a lot.
We're not friends.
I like him or something.
We're not friends.
But we during the month of August, oh my God, it was peaceful. People, all the doomers just shut the hell up, and we didn't have to listen to it. It was so nice.
Serenity. Balance.
Now we're back.
Yeah. I mean, 3-7 road trip will do that.
Yeah. So, no way Ohtani gets the MVP. Oh, he gets the MVP. 100%.
Oh, you think so? What if he doesn't play the rest of the year?
Okay.
Doesn't matter
to you.
Who
else are you going to give it to? Julio
Rodriguez.
Like,
I think Kyle Tucker has played very good ball this year for the Astros. I would say he's probably going to finish second at the current pace, I think. If I had to, put down a bet. If Julio continued to hit 400 for the rest of the year, then sure. That's a different conversation. But, that's not very sustainable. So, I don't know.
When does JK come back? Probably tomorrow, Caleb. It should be tomorrow.
Do you think he doesn't
sound like... I don't see why not.
Maybe give him a DH day?
Yeah, sure.
There you go.
Yeah, why not? We should go after him in free agency. I agree. Let's see. Do you guys agree that Service is a good manager for the clubhouse, but lacks the ability to choose the best relievers for the right spot? I agree on the part that, yes, he is a good manager for the clubhouse. No doubt in my mind. The part about him not being able to pick the best relievers in the best spots, I mean, that's just a case-by-case basis. Sometimes he does a great job at it. Sometimes he does a bad job at it. That's the way it is.
There have been very well-executed games from Service and Co. They've got... I think there was a quote from this past weekend talking about how they've got a script to stick to in terms of like the bullpen game and stuff like that. And there have been moments where that script has turned out very well. Service was making great moves left and right in games where it required them to be had. And then there are other ones where it doesn't really work out. I wouldn't say that I think he's above average in the clubhouse. I would say I wouldn't be willing to put him below average. I'd probably say just average in terms of maybe pitching moves like that. But I don't know. I can't. It's going to take a couple more like, what the hell moments for me to be like, okay, now I'm seeing the light everyone wants me to see. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that people bash managers whenever they do something wrong. That's just the way it is. Like that. It doesn't matter what kind of manager you are, who you are. People want,
Dusty fired half the time. They want other guys fired. This is the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's just the life of a manager.
There's comments I remember earlier in the year when the Rangers were red hot and we were calling for Service's head and saying, why can't we go find a guy like Bruce Bochy? No, not us, just people in general. And Bruce Bochy.
That was different.
Okay, sorry. I forget that you can see me, or I can see you in real time, but you can't see me in real time.
That's true.
But then now what are like Mariners fans saying about a manager like Bochy? Is it his fault that the Rangers have fallen off? Like, I don't know. Where does the line get drawn in terms of putting blame on managers at that rate?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Ty France does not have a spot on the team yet next year. I don't know who does then. I don't know what. You better go play. Base? Jordan's playing first base. Congratulations, Jordan. You are the first baseman for the Seattle Mariners.
I wouldn't say that he doesn't have a spot. I would say that his seat is likely hot, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There is someone now pushing the boundary of, okay, if Ty France enters September next year with 10 home runs and average below 250 or around 250, what's Tyler Locklear looking like at whatever level he's at?
Do you have the patience to wait for Locklear? I do, personally.
Yeah, it's a conversation to be had, but I don't think that conversation is he is off the team unless something dramatic happens, right? We're not looking at, people being suspended or arrested and stuff like that. Ty France ain't getting arrested for nothing, okay? Dude looks too nice. He's too funny, okay? That's the only way I see him not having a spot.
Yeah, I agree. Dom Canzone needs to be worked out extensively at first base during the offseason. Mm-hmm. Like, he needs to be there every day working out at first base. Mike Ford falling off. Mike Ford's been decent lately. I think that the fact that we haven't seen him there surprises me.
Yeah.
Not that much, but like maybe just once, just to see it.
There was a moment where Demo took over for Ty at first, I think in a game in this series, or maybe it was against the Reds. I can't remember. And I was surprised because I think Canzone was in the game to not see Demo in the outfield and Canzone at first, but maybe it's just because Canzone hasn't had the reps or whatever. But yeah, I agree. He is with Perry every day of the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, that is a failure on the Mariners. They were willing to try Evan White in the outfield for like a week. Let Dom play first.
Yeah, please, for the love of God. I just want to see. I just want to know.
Yeah.
You don't know until you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't been playing his July game. It's sad to see, but they can't stay strong forever. I mean, he's been over the past 10, 15 games. He's been one of the only bright spots on the team.
Yeah, he's not doing too bad.
So,
Lucario, I think you did great in pop fly with a catch. Cal Raleigh really messed up that pop fly with a catch.
And Luke Weaver.
They really did something dirty to you guys by throwing the ball into the stands. J Mars, hello. Hey guys.
Hey.
What's up, bro? This is if you guys haven't seen on the community tab, we posted a giveaway. 2 tickets to the Wednesday game at 110 in the 200 level. Keep in mind, J Mars is that dude that gifted us those tickets. So give some love to him right now, please, and thank you. How you doing? We're doing all right. We're doing good, man. How are you?
Service using Trent Thornton against Cedric Mullins in the 10th instead of Saucedo was a bad mistake. No.
Yeah, that was a month ago, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then the Mariners went on to win 21 games. Like, shit happens.
Yeah.
I'm not like things happen.
I don't think I'm gonna lose sleep over that. I definitely lost sleep over it the following day, but at this point, like right now, I don't know if I haven't thought about that moment since the days or so after. I'm not like hanging up on it.
If you would have asked me, but without saying who it was that he put in that situation, if you would have asked me who was in that situation, I wouldn't have known. I don't know. It was a month ago. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, managers put in the wrong guys all the time. So whatever.
Why do all those players look the exact same? I want you to elaborate on that, please.
Sorry, what?
What do you mean by
if you take the series from the Dodgers, I think that's momentum this team needs. You agree? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lose my mind if they lose the series to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a very good baseball team. And like, if they lose the series to the Dodgers, you know, I almost think it's to be expected.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the road trip has set us up to think that the Mariners are going to continue to perform below expectations, because this is definitely a below expectation road trip. I think you need to take one more against the Mets, one more against the Reds, and one more against the Rays, and then it was an as expected road trip, realistically. Coming home, an as expected homestand against the Angels and the Dodgers, you're probably looking at a 2-1 versus the Angels and a 1-2 versus the Dodgers. I feel like, you know, and if we take the series against the Dodgers, that's above expected. If we even get swept, it's not that awful because the Dodgers are an amazing team. It is getting swept. It sucks. Getting swept at home is not good. Duh. The goal is to not get swept, to just take one game.
how many games are left in the season?
19.
19. So Mariners to get to 90 wins need to finish 11-9. It's doable.
Very doable.
Doable.
We had a road trip like this last September. We definitely did. Part of that was in Kansas City. I think Boston was part of it as well. The Angels were part of that. So, yeah. We've seen it happen before, and we've managed to bounce back in the past.
Who do you see taking the World Series? I feel like it's gotta be the Braves, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're just so damn good.
That was our pick last year, too, I feel like. And
that's true.
That didn't happen. Because playoff baseball is just completely different.
J-Mars says we got a couple more?
For some odd reason.
J-Mars, is this true?
I think a couple more coming.
J-Mars, you absolute legend. Thank you. Look at you, man. 5 tickets? Shit.
To when?
Thursday?
Thursday's an off day. Mariners going to beat the Angels again? I hope so.
Keep talking to people.
I'm going to. Yeah, I think, if we sweep the Angels, that's a huge dub. Coming off a 3-7 road trip, that will definitely push the Mariners' funness into, funland, if you will. That's a great analogy I just made.
Funland, by the way.
Funland. Yeah, it's not fun losing baseball games. We just lost 3 in a row, right? Yeah. It's not. Yep. It's not fun. But if we happen to win 3 in a row against the Angels, what is the discourse around this team going to look like after those 3 games? Like, coming off this road trip, what are we expecting the Mariners to do against the Angels at home? Like, I don't know if the expectation doesn't change for me. It's 2-1 as what you should do. 3-0 against the Angels at home, that is a cherry on top of the icing on the cake. If you sweep them at home again, right? Because we mopped them, 4 games in Anaheim. Sweeping baseball teams is hard. It's not easy. To expect that as the, 100% outcome, it's not 100% realistic. Same thing with sweeping the Athletics in Oakland. It's never a guarantee. That's,
which is
even further out. It's not a guarantee. And we almost, I think earlier in the year when the Mariners were there earlier, we almost lost 2 out of 3, but late game heroics saved us in that series. And, it's baseball. It's not won in 1 inning. It is won throughout 9 innings. It's won throughout 162 games. So you just can't have, I don't know. I don't want people to have either poor expectations or necessarily unrealistic expectations coming home.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that looking at it, baseball is not linear. You're not gonna for the Mariners just because they won 21 games in August doesn't mean they're just gonna keep going up. Baseball is ups and it's a roller coaster, baby.
Yeah,
it's the way it works. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it always will be. Like, you could have a awful road trip. Look at the discourse that was going on with the Mariners when they lost to 2 games to the Orioles and 1 game in the first game in Kansas City. The world was ending, and then the Mariners went 21-6 in that month, and nobody even cared anymore. Who cared? Nobody cared.
Yeah.
So it's like, who cares? The Mariners could come home. Who knows? They could come home and sweep both the Dodgers. It's not going to happen. Both the Dodgers and the Angels. Think about it. Could happen.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and then even if the Rangers pass you up in the standings, that might be a good thing because then you're in the third wild card spot.
Unless,
So,
of course, the Blue
and
Jays are there. But
well,
if the Blue Jays are still there somehow, some way, and the Rangers are also in that conversation again, that means they probably split their series,
Right.
or the Rangers went 3-1, and then the Blue Jays continue to play good ball against the Orioles and the Rays. And
Right.
the Blue Jays historically this year have not played well against the AL East.
Yeah.
So if I were to put eggs in a basket, it would be still within the Mariners basket, based on the remaining schedules of the two teams around us right now in the wild card.
That's an analogy if I've ever
What's
heard
wrong
one.
with my analogies, man?
Yo, John, dude, I just looked at them all. Dude, appreciate it. Joe and I'll get something figured out here. All right.
Deal.
We appreciate it. We'll figure something out with these. John, absolute legend, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you go comment on our community tab post to get entered in to win 2 tickets in the Terrace Club to Wednesday's baseball game for the Seattle Mariners. Joe, last thing I want to talk about before we end stream.
Sure. Winner will be announced tomorrow, by the way. So
Mike Trout, a Mariner?
No. Not worth it. Not worth it.
Yeah.
Depending on the package, I mean, sure, it could be fun, but the Angels know what they have in a healthy Mike Trout. Obviously, the contract's pretty bad, and whether or not Trout is healthy is the other caveat there. And they're probably, if he wants to move, are going to
Which
ask,
he should.
Which he should. They probably are going to ask an unreasonable amount because they did not trade Shohei.
Mm-hmm.
They need to recoup value in some way, and that way would be in having someone overpay for Mike Trout. So a team that is desperate for a center fielder that could play over 90 games and be an MVP type player for 90 games.
I mean, at that point, I think you move him to a corner.
Probably.
Or
I think
DH
it depends on the team. Like, I saw a comment saying like Bryce Harper and Mike Trout in the same outfield. No shot they're playing the same outfield because there's no room. There's no room on that roster for 4 guys that need to kind of DH at some point, because you have Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Trout. Because realistically, you want to try and move Trout to DH a little bit.
I think that if you're getting Mike Trout, you make room.
Well, of course, right?
So
that is also part of that.
Yeah.
I don't think the Phillies are a team that would do it necessarily. I don't know if they even have the talent to, I guess, entice. But I know Trout is a Philly guy, so I think that
it sounds like a move the Padres would make.
Ugh. Gross.
Just because they're the Padres.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Or like the White Sox.
This
is a move This is a move that one of those stupid teams. This is a move that the Rockies would make.
Oh God. Mike Trout and Chris Bryant tearing it up for Colorado.
That's right.
Just like we all planned it.
Yeah. Yep. All right, friends. Well, like I said, make sure you go comment on the community tab post to get entered in to win those tickets from John. Absolute legend that John is. And Joe and John sent us some more tickets. So we're gonna try to figure out what we're gonna do there. So
orchestrate that. Yeah.
Again, John, thank you. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you go comment on that community tab post. And I will try to have a video up for tomorrow or Tuesday about the Seattle Mariners Baseball Club. Thoughts?
I mean, that sounds like a deal to me. If I'm being honest with you. You making a video sounds like a good time.
I think so.
Yeah. Do you guys watch the Hawks? Watching is a word there.
I unfortunately did watch them today, yeah.
I watched them with like one eye.
Yeah.
They were okay.
They were bad. Anyway, we appreciate you guys. We're going to call stream right there. Make sure you go comment on that community tab post. And see you soon. Go Mariners.
Go Mariners. Smile.